You know, I kind of forgot that Apple was making their own Godzilla streaming series set in the Monsterverse. So you can imagine my surprise when we got our first teaser trailer for it this morning. And not only does it look very promising, but it's also releasing in just a few months. The series, titled Monarch: Legacy of Monsters, looks to explore the mysteries surrounding this organization, as well as the impact that Godzilla's appearance in 2014 had on the rest of the world. It seems like this series will try and address the biggest issue with the Monsterverse, that being how the human stories really aren't that interesting. It seems like this series will be split between two different time periods. The first, set around the time of Kong Skull Island, exploring the origin of the Monarch organization, while the other half will likely be set in the modern day around 2014 when Godzilla first appeared. We also see clips of John Goodman's character from Kong Skull Island, who was the original founder of Monarch. We hear him talk about how he wants to leave behind a legacy, and with this series being titled Legacy of Monsters, I wouldn't be surprised if the monsters isn't actually associated with the monsters themselves, but more the people in the organization and how its intentions have changed over time. But this series isn't just about the human characters and will of course feature monsters, as we do see quite a few in this trailer. Of course, we have Godzilla as he appeared in the 2014 film, but then we also see this weird spider-like creature and something that resembles a giant bat dragon. While at the moment it's unclear if we will see any other Toho monsters such as Mothra, Rodan, or Ghidorah, it seems like we will have plenty of original new monsters here, and I'm sure we'll likely see some of the other original monsters created for the Monsterverse. I'm just not going to get my hopes up with expecting too many monsters to appear here, as I know they are very expensive to actually implement into this show. So I believe they will be used sparingly rather than seeing huge monster fights like we're used to in the movies. But as long as the human element is actually interesting, I still think this show will have huge potential. I think that the thing I'm most excited for with this series is seeing how the world has reacted to the appearance of Godzilla following the 2014 film. As in the movies, we never really got a good indication as to how his appearance has changed the way people live. We get brief snippets of people like protesting to save the monsters or destroy all monsters, and we got like a brief government scene where they're discussing killing Godzilla, but we never really get to see how the people really react to knowing that there are these giant monsters living on the planet. The focus was always more on the spectacle of the monster fights, rather than seeing how the monsters existing would actually impact the world. So with this series, I'm really hoping we actually get some world building and get to see just how people react to these creatures existing. We are already getting snippets of that in the trailer as we see a military man spray painting an anti-Godzilla sign onto his plane, and another place seems to have a Godzilla evacuation route, so I'm interested in seeing how else the world has changed thanks to Godzilla's appearance. I'm also hoping this series dives into the technological advances made between the 2014 and 2019 film, as in 2014, they seem to have really no idea of how to track Godzilla or any of the other monsters, and then by 2019 they had entire enclosures built around these creatures and were able to monitor and control them. And then, of course, in the 2019 film, the military also had the oxygen destroyer that was just pulled out of nowhere and was capable of almost killing Godzilla. So I hope this series delves further into those elements and shows us how Monarch was able to build these elaborate containment units around the monsters, and how they even found them to begin with, and also see how the military has been developing countermeasures to kill these monsters. And then, of course, I hope we also get some explanation on Apex. As in Godzilla vs. Kong, they just sort of came out of nowhere with a fully built Mechagodzilla robot capable of killing Godzilla. And that about wraps up my thoughts on this initial teaser for Monarch: Legacy of Monsters. Honestly, I'm just surprised that we're getting two big Godzilla projects releasing in the last 2 months of this year. But what do you think, and which project are you most excited for? Let me know in the comments, and until next time, thanks for watching.